talk about your early days playing guitar. When did you start playing?
Well, I started when I was a pretty young kid. My parents bought me a really, really cheap guitar. The action was about that high, so you tried to press it down. It was like trying to, it was really a hard, difficult guitar to play. But I kind of managed through. And the first guitar lick I ever tried to learn was Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison Blues. And I thought I was trying to play like Johnny Cash. It wasn't until much, much later that I realized it was Luther Perkins. But
who inspired you? I guess that was your first lick.
Well, I was, that was when I was a kid, and it really, I think, the big turning point for me is I was trying to learn how to play guitar, but being a kid, I wanted rock and roll, and there was a local record store where mom and pop place, and the guy specialized in blues, and so he had everything from Delta blues to Memphis, Chicago, a ton of stuff on chess records. To me, it was like that was this ripping, crazy, in-your-face music like I wanted to hear from the rock and roll. Even by that time, it was all this, all this different stuff, that was not even really rock and roll. It was folksy, and I wanted something, crazy. And so all this blue stuff, what is that? And so that was a pretty big turning point, because at that point I decided that, I really wanted to play blues guitar, started listening a lot to Buddy Guy, and Freddie King was a pretty big influence because we used to go see him play live a lot. The blues thing kind of led me into the 50s thing, because my first band was a 50s band. But then I kind of got more as versatile as I could get, tried to study a bunch of different styles, but always kind of kept coming back to that blues, 50s, rockabilly, Johnny Cash.
When did you, I guess, have your first big gig? Did you start off on original music, or was your...
No, I'd played in a lot of bands that were all over the map as far as styles of music, and cover songs. That was a good learning experience, but it was kind of, you get to the point where you realize, well, it's a cover band, show band type of a deal, so I would start writing on my own. It was around that band that I figured out, this rockabilly thing, it seemed like it was the unsung hero of music. Blues was already a big part of the underground consciousness that nobody even really knew about rockabilly. And so to me, it was like, well, man, this is the coolest, because I could incorporate some jazz in there. I could do some fancy country stuff in there. I could play my blues stuff in there. I could identify with the lyrics. That led me to the Reverend Horton Heat deal, and I'd been in a bunch of bands, but the Reverend Horton Heat, I started out playing these songs just on my own, solo, and got a little bit of like coffee house type success, I guess, and started getting band guys to show up. And
do you have any advice for young guitarists trying to learn?
I think that one thing would be good is even if you're a metal player and you like that big distortion type sound, practicing clean, with a clean sound or with no amp. Playing with a bunch of distortion adds so much compression. It's a lot easier to play guitar, so you sound a lot better than you really are. And then another thing too, you can't be too snobbish about who you're in a band with. A band is not all about five guys who all have the same dream. It's about five guys who all have completely different dreams. At some point you got to kind of stand back and let it happen. Just do your best to be in the band and to make yourself better.
What advice do you have for young musicians trying to make a career out of play music professionally?
Well, that's an easy one. If you want to have a successful career and be famous, you have to get a van that runs really good. My advice is to never work on the van yourself. If you make $600 on a gig, and you have a good gig, and you make $600, take all $600 and your van to the Chevy dealership, or Ford dealership, or Dodge, wherever the van, whatever van it is, and get them to put in a new transmission. Don't try to rig it. Then you can get that band, you know, from here we are in Baton Rouge, you can get them not only to New Orleans and back, you can get them to Houston and back, then you can get them to Austin and back, then you can get them from Dallas and back. Next thing you know, you're a national act. So getting in the van and touring and getting into all these different markets just adds leverage to any record deal that you're going to eventually get when that comes.
Right.
You know, so.
Jim, we appreciate it. Thank you for being gracious and spending a little time with us and our TPG viewers at home. We appreciate you for coming into our headquarters and doing the podcast with us.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, appreciate it.
There you have it. Thanks for joining us again with another episode of the Perfect Guitar Podcast. We'd like to thank Gretsch Guitars for hooking us up with Jim and getting him here in our headquarters. If you're looking for more information on Gretsch Guitars, feel free to visit us online at www.theperfectguitar.com or calling us toll-free at 877-751-4339. If you get a chance, be sure to go check out the Reverend Horton Heat on their 2007 tour. Look for tour dates at their website, www.thereverendhortonheat.com.
Hi, I'm Jim Heath, a.k.a. Reverend Horton Heat. Get your Gretsch guitar at theperfectguitar.com.